Part 32. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 311. Yang Tian led the Black Knight team and crushed all the generals, eunuchs, and palace maids who blocked the road. The NPCs in the fire palace seemed to carry flame. Yang Tian led the team to kill some, and burst into red flames the size of ping-pong balls. Of course, there were also coins, materials, etc. Gilded, sandalwood, raw water, flames, hard soil. These 5 materials have different prices because of their different explosion rates, but the cheapest one is more than 100 yuan. Yang Tian had no reason to let go, and after cleaning up everything, he rode his horse to move forward. When he came to the main hall of the fire palace, there were obvious signs of a battle. I think some players came here, but they all died in battle. This is normal. After all, the civil and military officials in the main hall are all level 80 Lord Boss. Summon skeleton warriors. Yang Tian waved his hand and summoned a huge army of skeletons. Together with the Black Knights around him, they rushed out and fought with the civil and military officials. Yang Tian had an overwhelming advantage. In the blink of an eye, he killed the other party's civil and military officials. The Lord of the Fire Palace on the throne raised his cold eyes and threw out a sea of fire on the spot. The raging flames instantly swept the entire palace. 210,000. 210,000. 210,000. 150,000. 150,000. 150,000. The sea of fire of the Lord of the Fire Palace was also extremely powerful. It could burn 210,000 lives of the skeleton warriors every second and kill them all instantly. There was no way. The skeleton warriors were only level 75 high-level monsters with only 100,000 HP. If Yang Tian was promoted to level 80, they would be level 80 elite monsters, and everything would be completely different. The Black Knights were level 75 lords, with HP of 8 million. They were burned by the sea of fire of the Lord of the Fire Palace. Even if they lost 150,000 HP per second, it was not a big deal. As for Yang Tian himself, he had no fire resistance. At the moment the sea of fire appeared, he suffered more than 250,000 damage. Fortunately, he had a bone shield in advance, and the bone shield took the damage for him. Now his bone shield has a HP of 12.8 million. Of course, he swallowed the 3 origins of gold, fire, and water, and the 5 attributes in the 5 elements world add 60%. Because of this, his basic magic attack in the 5 elements world has become much higher, and the strength of the bone shield has also increased accordingly. If he is outside the dungeon, his bone shield still has only 8 million HP. Death Charge. War Trampling. Black Gun. Sweeping the army. The Black Knights ignored the burning of the sea of fire and continued to slaughter the remaining civil and military officials. After a moment, they slaughtered all the civil and military officials, leaving only the Lord of the Fire Palace as an enemy in the huge palace. Summon the man-eating grass. Yang Tian stretched out his hand and snapped his fingers, and saw a green summoning array lit up under the throne, and then a man-eating grass grew wildly and completely wrapped the Lord of the Fire Palace. However, the man-eating grass screamed immediately afterwards, and the whole body spontaneously combusted, and was burned into flying smoke in an instant. Unable to control it. The Lord of the Fire Palace is a middle-aged man of about 40 years old. He is wearing a set of scarlet flying dragon robes. Now, there is a circle of substantial flames, wrapping him like a flower bud. A group of ants, die for me. The Lord of the Fire Palace slapped the dragon chair with one palm, stood up and roared, but stretched out the other palm and shot out a blazing fireball. That fireball, with a diameter of more than 10 meters, burned the air like a small sun, producing thick white smoke. It is estimated that the combat power is only more than 400 million, no big deal. Staring at the huge fireball, Yang Tian sneered. The so-called combat power is the maximum attack power that an individual can exert without taking into account the opponent's defense. A combat power data generated by multiplying the basic attack power, attribute enhancement, critical damage, skill percentage, fighting spirit, and other attributes. Before entering the 5 Elements world, he generally had more than 400 million combat power, while the Black Knight had 500 million combat power. Why do I say generally? Because if Yang Tian uses Corpse Explosion or Self-Destruct Spider, then his combat power will be far more than 400 million. In short, how much combat power you have depends on what skills you use. Even if you use flat slashing, your combat power will definitely be much smaller. In the PK field of Taeju, there is also a special practice field. Players can go to the practice field and attack the wooden stakes. The wooden stake has no attributes and cannot withstand the weakening buff, which means that Yang Tian's darkness is ineffective against the wooden stake. The damage dealt by the player when attacking the wooden stake actually represents the player's combat power. Obviously, the damage dealt by the player when he chops the wooden stake, uses a small skill, or uses a big skill to hit the wooden stake is different. In other words, the combat power of your player is inseparable from the skill you use. For example, when Yang Tian uses chops and corpse explosion, the combat power of both sides differs by 1,000 times. In Taeju, when your combat power far exceeds that of the opponent, you can destroy its attack and make it invalid. How much is the so-called far exceeding? The official of Taeju did not clearly point it out. In short, if the combat power exceeds twice, it must be far exceeding. That huge fireball. It is not that the Lord of the Fire Palace has a combat power of more than 400 million, but that if he uses the fireball, his combat power is more than 400 million. If Yang Tian launches an attack with a combat power of more than 900 million, he can easily defeat the fireball. Before entering the 5 Elements world, Yang Tian used ordinary skills, and his combat power was only more than 400 million. But now, he swallowed the 3 origins of gold, fire, and water, and his 5 attributes in the 5 Elements world add 60%. In addition to the effect of the title Guardian of Cancer, his combat power will be doubled. He can use any skill at least tens of billions of combat power. Bone Spear. Yang Tian sneered and raised his hand to shoot a bone spear. On one side was a huge fireball with a diameter of 10 meters, and on the other side was a slender bone spear. However, the bone spear easily crushed the fireball and further pierced the Lord of the Fire Palace. Combat power is definitely not damage. Combat power is combat power, and damage is damage, which are completely different things. High combat power means that you have a suppressive effect on the opponent's moves and can disintegrate the opponent's attack. It's just a bit pretentious. When it comes to calculating damage, it depends on how much your attribute strength is and how much the opponent's attribute resistance is. It depends on how much armor penetration you have and how much protection the opponent has. 808,200. After the bone spear crushed the huge fireball, it rushed all the way and instantly pierced the Lord of the Fire Palace. Not to mention piercing it, it just pierced the skin and a little blood was seen. Yang Tian's bone spear, even though it has a combat power of more than 100 million, after disintegrating the huge fireball, it only caused hundreds of thousands of damage to the Lord of the Fire Palace. Yang Tian has a dark strength of 4,300, that is, dark attribute attack, which is 44 times the damage. In terms of combat power, this 44 times is real and effective. However, in terms of damage, it should be noted that the Fire Palace Lord's dark resistance is as high as 10,000. Even if it is weakened by 5,500 points by the darkness, there are still 4,500 points left, which is enough to reduce Yang Tian's 4,300 points of dark strength to 0 points. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 312. That is to say, Yang Tian attacked the Lord of Fire Palace. When calculating the damage, Yang Tian's dark power was 0, while the Lord of Fire Palace had 200 points of dark resistance. When Yang Tian attacked the Lord of Fire Palace, not only did he not increase his dark power, but his damage was reduced by 3 times. In addition, Yang Tian's magic penetration was 1150, while the Lord of Fire Palace's magic protection was 3300 points. When Yang Tian's bone spear hit the Lord of Fire Palace, the opponent would pop out a magic array shield, and it was unknown how many times Yang Tian's damage was reduced. Because of this, even though Yang Tian's combat power was as high as more than 100 million, he could only deal hundreds of thousands of damage to the Lord of Fire Palace. Black Gun. After Yang Tian broke the opponent's fireball, the Black Knights were not idle either. They galloped on their horses, approached the Lord of Fire Palace, and stabbed down with the black spears in their hands without any emotion. I saw that more than a dozen steel array shields popped out from the Lord of Fire Palace in an instant, causing the output of the Black Knights to be reduced by several times. 280, 2000. 280, 2000. 280, 2000. The Lord of the Fire Palace lost a lot of blood, and in an instant he was left with little blood. Yang Tian's combat power was much higher than that of the Black Knight, but his damage was much inferior. The biggest difference between the two sides was that Yang Tian only had 4,300 points of dark power, while the Black Knight had 6,100 points of dark power. Yang Tian only had 1,150 points of armor penetration, while the Black Knight had 2,650 points of armor penetration. The gap between them was quite large. The Necromancer was strong, and the Undead were strong. Whether it was combat power or damage, it was nothing to be ashamed of for the Necromancer to lose to his Undead. The damage deepened. Seeing that the Lord of the Fire Palace was already left with little blood, Yang Tian decisively snapped his fingers, causing the Lord of the Fire Palace's body to explode, exploding the spoils all over the ground. Yang Tian went forward to clean up. In addition to the red key, he saw that the Lord of the Fire Palace had dropped 3 leather armor sets, 1 level 80 and 2 level 70. Yang Tian picked up 2 level 70 sets directly. No one wanted this thing. If it was decomposed, some 5 elements crystals could be obtained. As for the level 80 leather armor top, Yang Tian did not pick it up, because it could not be traded after picking it up. He didn't need the leather armor, so it would be a waste to pick it up. Earth Palace, have you finished fighting? Come over after you've finished fighting. I have dropped an 80 level leather armor top, Yang Tian shouted in the team channel. I brought the team here. By the way, you are too fast. You picked the Water Palace and the Fire Palace by yourself, while there are so many of us, but you only picked the Earth Palace, Huang Mao replied, with a twitching face. Even he had to admit that Yang Tian's existence was indeed too abnormal. Soon the two sides met up, and Xiao Fei picked up the level 80 leather armor top. Huang Mao handed the cocky key to Yang Tian. At this time, Yang Tian had already collected all the 5 elements keys. What's the use of collecting these keys? Someone asked. You can open the 5 elements gate and get some rewards. Yang Tian smiled and said, the 5 elements gate is in the central part of the 5 elements world. Let's go there. If I'm not mistaken, there are already many players blocking there. At this stage, the 5 palaces have all been captured, and the most valuable thing in this copy is the 5 elements gate. Of course, there are still many materials such as gilt and sandalwood in the copy, but too many people are too ambitious and never look down on small profits in front of big profits. Not long after, Yang Tian and his party came to the central part of the 5 elements world, where there is a very quiet and peaceful grassland. On the grassland, there stands a colorful gate, about 5 meters high and 10 meters wide, with a door lock hanging in the middle. There are 5 sockets on the door lock, corresponding to the 5 elements keys respectively. Only by inserting all the 5 elements keys can the 5 elements gate be opened. Just as Yang Tian expected, there were many players squatting in front of the gate. They all wanted to get something for nothing, waiting for the person with the key to come and help them open the door. Haha, you really guessed it right. Huang Mao stared at the people in front of him, his eyes turned cold. As the owner of the key, he obviously couldn't stand those who were ready to eat for free. Yang Tian smiled slightly, and he was much more direct than Huang Mao. He took 2 steps forward, showed the ID of Han Shui, and said, "I give you 3 seconds to get out, otherwise, you will all die." Han Shui, the owner of the 5 elements key, is finally here. Everyone was ecstatic. They had waited for so long, and now they finally didn't have to wait any longer. Of course, they had heard of the name of Han Shui, but they were not in awe. It's like a candidate with 60 points will admire a candidate with full marks, but a candidate with 90 points will not admire others. Because in their opinion, if they put a little more effort or have a little better luck, they can also get 100 points. It is the same here. They are all people matched by Yang Tian, all masters above level 70, and they are arrogant and look down on others. If they have not really fought, they will never admit that they are not as good as others. That guy is so arrogant, he actually wants us to get out? I'm so scared. Damn it, a mere necromancer is so arrogant, no matter how good his equipment is, how high his damage is, what does it matter? He is still a fragile skin, and he will die if he is touched by someone. I really don't know who gave him the confidence. I saw a guy with a red airplane head, pretending to be scared, patting his chest and sneering. His action was like a fuse, igniting the disdain and indignation in everyone's hearts. Immediately, everyone started shouting, as if Yang Tian was really rubbish. "Brothers, come on, kill Han Shui." The airplane head gently stroked his head with both hands and said, "Don't worry, the 5 elements key is a must-explode item. Since Han Shui is so arrogant and unwilling to share the benefits with everyone, then we will all kill him, explode the 5 elements key, open the door and enjoy the benefits alone." The words of the airplane head were welcomed by everyone's cheers and support. Yang Tian and others were angry in their hearts. They had never seen such a shameless person who actually said that Han Shui was eating for free so righteously. "The opportunity has been given to you." Yang Tian shook his head and sighed, saying, "It's a pity that if you kill them here, you won't be demoted. This punishment is too low." The airplane head and others were stunned, and then laughed wildly, laughing at Yang Tian's rampant and ignorance. "This guy is talking as if he can kill us all by himself. I am dying of laughter." The guy with the airplane head laughed so hard that he bent over, and some people were enraged and rushed towards Yang Tian. Many shooters have already focused their fire, shooting various swords and sabers, and crushing Yang Tian and others. Dark sea of fire. However, Yang Tian's move was faster than them. He just snapped his fingers, and the blazing black flames swept across the entire battlefield, killing most people, including the guy with the airplane head, in an instant. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 313. After entering the 5 elements world, Yang Tian's combat power increased more than 3 times, and even the Sea of Fire had terrifying power. If you have fighting spirit, you may be able to withstand it for a few seconds. If you don't have fighting spirit, you will almost be defeated in an instant. Ah! Along with a series of screams, everyone on the plane and others were instantly burned to death by black flames. There were hundreds or even thousands of people at first. Those who were still struggling in the Sea of Fire were only 10 fingers, and all of them were shield warriors or knight. Darkness is coming. Yang Tian casually snapped his fingers, and an area of 100 feet was instantly shrouded in darkness. At this moment, the dark resistance of the tanks dropped by 5,500 points, all turning into negative numbers. I'm going to kick the iron plate. What a terrifying group-killing buff. It has a very large range and reduces the dark resistance of all enemies by 5,500 points. Is there any mistake? Could it be that Muddy Waters has upgraded the skill to the full level? No, it's not a general weakening buff, but environmental magic, large environmental magic, a paladin said in horror. An ordinary weakening buff is useless after being dispelled by purification. When darkness falls, it is because of the surrounding dark environment that it weakens the enemy. Even if you dispel the negative state, as long as the surrounding darkness still exists, it will continue to weaken you in the next second. Obviously, environmental magic is stronger and easier to use than ordinary buff. Of course, Yang Tian is the full level of darkness, and the resulting weakening buffs are all LV 100. Only purification of the same level or even higher level can dispel it. In Taegzu, skill LV 100 is the full level, which means that a skill can only be upgraded to level 100 at most. However, some weapons and equipment can increase skill levels, such as Yang Tian's first golden weapon master Mo Fan's abandoned bone staff, summon skeleton warrior LV1 add 1. In other words, as long as the conditions are sufficient, it is possible to create skills exceeding LV 100. The falling darkness reduced the opponent's dark resistance, and the sea of dark fire burned on their bodies, which obviously caused more pain. Less than 3 seconds passed, and there was no one alive in the raging sea of fire. Yang Tian waved his hand, dispersed the darkness and the sea of fire, and began to clean up the loot with everyone. Instantly wait for skill CD. He knew that there was still a battle within the 5 elements gate, and he had to wait for the darkness to cool down, and then he would need it. A minute later, Yang Tian returned to his peak state. He walked over and inserted the 5 keys into the door lock one after another. Suddenly, there was a click sound, and the 5 elements gate opened in response. In the dazzling white light, there was a powerful lion's roar. Yang Tian's eyes narrowed slightly and his heart skipped a beat. 5 royal treasure chests will be refreshed within the 5 elements gate, and there will always be a constellation guardian guarding them. For ordinary players, the constellation guardian is difficult to deal with. If you are lucky enough to get the key to open the door, you may not even be able to open the treasure chest. For Yang Tian, there is no pressure to become a constellation guardian. In fact, the constellation guardian itself will become a prophet. You know, Yang Tian is very jealous of the title of Leo Guardian, and now he is naturally happy to hear the lion's roar. When the brilliance dissipated, everyone discovered that the 5 elements gate was a magnificent palace. In the center of the treasure hall, there are 5 purple gold treasure chests placed one after another. They are clearly imperial treasure chests. At this time, there was a huge red fire lion, 3 meters high and 6 meters long. It held a purple gold treasure box in one claw and looked at Yang Tian and others outside the door with its contemptuous eyes. You are able to come here. Are you very strong? But you have stopped here. The fire lion smiled contemptuously and stepped on the ground with its strong paws, causing the entire palace to tremble slightly. Immediately, a circle of flames ignited from its feet and quickly swept in all directions, covering the entire floor of the palace in an instant. Obviously, that's where the fire comes from. The 5 elements gate is like a transparent barrier, with 2 different worlds inside and outside. The fire lion sea of fire could not pass through the 5 elements gate and burned Yang Tian and others. At the same time, I saw Yang Tian shooting a bone spear, but it couldn't pass through the 5 elements gate. Instead, it disappeared directly. In other words, standing outside the door can only be an audience. If you want to open the treasure chest, you must enter the treasure hall and kill the fire lion in the constellation Leo. Guardian of Leo, Pony of Fire, Emperor level / intelligent life. Level 80. HP, 50 million. Basic physical attack, 500,000. Basic magic attack, 400,000. Fire attribute attack. Fire power 10,000. Fire resistance 20,000, light and dark resistance 10,000, ice resistance 5,000. Armor piercing method wears 5,000. Double guard 3,000. Skill. I'm afraid you can't withstand that sea of fire, leave it to me. Yang Tian smiled and raised his hand to summon 20 Black Knights. Immediately, he himself transformed into a vampire count and floated slightly. On this basis, he also blessed a bone shield. Alice, if I die, go in, resurrect me, and activate the sacred blessing, Yang Tian ordered, and after Alice nodded in agreement, he waved his hand and led a group of Black Knights through 5 Elements Gate, enter the treasure palace filled with sea of fire. 320,000. 320,000. 320,000. Yang Tian and the Black Knight team had just stepped into the palace when burns appeared on the heads of the Black Knights. On this basis, the Black Knights were also blessed with a weakening buff, fire resistance -1500. Obviously, Leo Fire Horse has a TPC of fire in addition to the Sea of Fire. As long as the Sea of Fire continues to burn, it will cause the enemies within the range to continuously reduce their fire resistance, thereby increasing the power of its fire attribute attack. 380,000. 380,000. The next second, the Black Knights suffered more serious burns due to the reduction of fire resistance. Fortunately, the Black Knights are all level 75 lords with HP as high as 8 million. Even if they stand under such a high temperature sea of fire, they can still hold on for a while. As for Yang Tian, he transformed into a vampire count in advance and was slightly floating in the air, so he was not burned by the sea of fire. Darkness is coming. Dark Sea of Fire. Yang Tian used 2 skills in a row. His Dark Sea of Fire naturally couldn't burn much of the opponent's blood, but the activation of TP could further reduce the opponent's dark resistance. Kill it, Yang Tian ordered. Suddenly, a group of Black Knights rode on undead war horses and rushed towards Leo Fire Horse. Bone Spear. 170-2092. Yang Tian's Bone Spear arrived first and stabbed the Fire Horse, causing a high damage. Roar. The Fire Horse seemed to be enraged, roared wildly, and finally left the 5 purple gold treasure chests and rushed forward. It was extremely fast, like a galloping whirlwind of fire. Its strong, flaming lion claws slapped a Black Knight and smashed it to pieces. When the lion claws smashed the Black Knight to the ground, it would trigger a shock. The terrible force made the ground within a radius of 3 yards crack like a spider web. Of course, the Black Knights within the range were also shattered. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 314. Leo Fire Pony smashed a Black Knight to pieces with 1 claw, but shocked the 5 Black Knights around him to death. In other words, with this move, it killed 6 Black Knights in an instant. There is no way, with the blessing of Yang Tian's attributes, although the Black Knight's combat power is strong enough to pose a threat to the Fire Horse, in terms of health and defense, it is still only at the level of a level 75 lord. The Fire Pony is a level 80 Imperial Beast, and it is the guardian of the constellation, which is much more powerful than the average level 80 Imperial Beast. It can defeat a level 75 lord as easily as stepping on an ant. After the Fire Pony slapped its claws, it immediately opened its bloody mouth and sprayed out a raging flame. Breathing fire is just its basic ability, just like the player's horizontal slash, not a skill. The flames instantly penetrated 30 yards away, burning all the Black Knights in that straight line to ashes. What's even more frightening is that the Fire Horse continues to spit out fire and turns its head to adjust its direction. In just one moment, the remaining 14 Black Knights were all instantly killed by the Huoju. Tongues of Fire. The maximum range of ordinary fire breathing seems to be only 30 yards. After the fire horse killed a group of black knights in an instant, a pair of red eyes stared at Yang Tian in mid-air. He immediately opened his mouth and saw a slender tongue of fire, like lightning. He stabbed towards Yang Tian. The range of the tongue of fire is obviously more than 30 yards. Flash. Yang Tian didn't dare to take a hard hit and decisively teleported out of the way. The Sea of Fire is the same as the Sea of Dark Fire, with only 1% output. Even so, the fire horse can burn the Black Knight and cause more than 300,000 damage in 1 second. 1%, 300,000. One can imagine how high Huoju's combat power is. Yang Tian has no fire resistance at all. If he is hit by the tongue of fire, he will suffer hundreds of millions of damage, and a mere bone shield cannot stop it. Because of this, he didn't dare to take any of Huoju's moves head on. Summon the Vampire Count. Summon the Nether Assassin. After Huo Piao missed once, he began to fire fireballs continuously. The attack surface of the fireballs was larger, Yang Tian had to fly to dodge. At the same time, he once again summoned 2 groups of powerful undead. After the 21 vampire counts emerged from the summoning array, they immediately spread their wings and flew into the air to avoid being burned by the Sea of Fire. The 20 Nether Assassins were continuously burned by the Sea of Fire and continued to lose blood. What's more important is that from the moment they appeared, they were hit by the Fire Horse's Sea of Fire and fell into an attack state, making them unable to stealth. The assassin lost his greatest stealth advantage and was like a living target in front of the powerful fire pony. Of course, after the 2 teams of powerful undead appear, the fire horse will be more or less under pressure. Whether it is a vampire count or a ghost assassin, their attack power is very strong. Any move, as long as it touches the fire horse, will cause at least more than 2 million damage. Because there were a lot of them, Huoju was a little afraid. And, you do have some powerful younger brothers. The fire horse did not dare to underestimate the enemy, and while retreating to distance itself from the undead, it breathed fire to kill instantly. He looks careless, but he is actually very cautious. Yang Tian twitched the corner of his mouth. If the Huoju didn't have the Sea of Fire, he could directly use a limit summon and a corpse explosion and damage increase to end the battle. And it is precisely because of the existence of the Sea of Fire that ordinary undead souls, such as skeleton warriors, will be reduced to ashes the moment they are summoned. With the cover of the Vampire Count and the Netherworld Assassin, Yang Tian also carefully attacked the Fire Horse, with one skill capable of dealing around 2 million damage. The 2 sides began to consume each other. Yang Tian was harvesting the blood of the Fire Horse, while the Fire Horse was harvesting the lives of the undead. At this moment, Huang Mao Xiaojin passed through the 5 Elements gate and rushed in. Of course, Huang Mao activated his Queen Bee wings and flew in, otherwise he wouldn't be able to withstand the burns of the Sea of Fire. Xiaojin put on the laser gun, stopped, and pointed at the Horse of Fire. Charged laser. In this second of charging time, Xiaojin's blue gauge dropped like water, and once it dropped to the bottom, it returned to 0. With a flash of white light, the laser gun in Xiaojin's hand suddenly turned into a large caliber laser cannon. A thick laser beam was ejected from the muzzle. With a pop, Huoju's body was directly pierced. 245,000,000. A frighteningly high amount of damage appeared. The Fire Horse lost 24.5 million blood, and the blood tank dropped by half in an instant. The charged laser consumes all the mana and deals the same amount of real damage. In other words, how much mana the releaser has, how much blood can be produced. In the world of 5 elements, Yang Tian's blue energy is as high as more than 2 million, but it is still far inferior to Xiaojin, who is an imperial beast. Yang Tian was stunned, and immediately snapped his fingers and used damage amplification, causing the fire pony to break into pieces and explode to death. As the fire horse fell, a large amount of loot exploded. At the same time, the sea of fire in this palace also extinguished. Yang Tian grabbed the source of fire that slowly rose into the sky with one hand and handed it to Huang Mao. The source of this fire was obviously exploded by the fire horse. Yang Tian had already swallowed it, and it would be useless to swallow it again. That's the Guardian title of Liu. Yang Tian looked at the series of golden fonts, smiled slightly, and decisively picked it up and put it on. Guardian of Liu, Imperial Weapon. Grade 1. Equipment Type, Title. Strength add 1000. Intelligence add 1000. Additional skills, Lion Roar. Lion's Roar, instant, causes group stun within a radius of 30 yards, 1-3 seconds, 2000% physical output. Cooldown time, 1 minute. 2000% is actually 20 times, but it's a pity that its physical output. Yang Tian's basic physical attack is extremely low, even with the Lion's Roar, it is estimated that it can't do much damage. Even so, Yang Tian still likes it very much. The effect of causing group stun within a radius of 30 yards is really too cool, and it's impossible not to like it. Yang Tian is extremely afraid of this Lion's Roar, and that's why he told Alice. In other words, he was prepared to die once, but who knew that Huoju was hit by a laser cannon by Xiao Jin before he could even roar. It takes 1 second to charge a laser, and Huoju was hit completely. I really don't know what to say. Another Taurus's guardian will be enough. Yang Tian smiled. Of the 12 Zodiac Guardian titles, he only cares about Cancer, Leo, and Taurus. Putting on the Leo title and taking off the Aquarius title, Yang Tian handed it to Huang Mao and said, I can't use this thing, you can use it to hook up with girls. Huang Mao. Yang Tian smiled, bent down, and opened the 5 purple gold treasure chests one by one. Of course, these 5 treasure chests were not locked. 5 purple gold treasure chests, each of which contains 1 to 3 pieces of 5 elements suits and 20 fixed 5 elements crystals. The income from opening these 5 treasure chests is equivalent to brushing the 5 palaces again. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 315. There are 11 sets of 5 element suits in the 5 purple gold treasure chests, including 6 level 80 suits and 5 level 70 suits. The level 80 suits were divided up by Yang Tian and others according to their needs. As for the level 70 suits, they can only be decomposed, but they can be decomposed into 105 element crystals. After such a round of swiping, the harvest is quite good. Because 1505 element crystals can be exchanged for a level 80 suit. If the exchanged suits are included, Yang Tian's team has harvested more than 10 level 80 suits in this round. Among them, Yang Tian got as many as 3. Only players of level 60-80 can enter 5 elements world. There is no challenge limit in this range. Yang Tian led the team to quit the game and challenge again, in an infinite cycle. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye, and Yang Tian collected 11 sets of 5 element suits. Of course, because it was a level 80 suit, he could not equip it yet. Another half-month passed in a flash, and it was March 2131. On this day, all 14 people on Yang Tian's side reached level 80. System, congratulations on reaching level 80. You have opened the permission to enter the Sea of Ruins. Muddy Water, ID. Occupation, Overlord of the Undead. Warzone, China. Empire, Dragon Empire. Bloodline, Goblin Spirit Bloodline. Title, Royal Commander, Bloodthirsty Demon King, Low-Key Warrior, Rich Man, Super Explorer, Heavy Price, Critical Hit Master, Cancer Guardian, Leo Guardian, Taurus Guardian. Level 80. HP, 120,000. MP, 1.8 million, 180,000 mana per second. Asterisk Magic Attack, 280,000. Dark Power 4,400. Dark resistance 7800, light, fire, and ice resistance 3000. Armor penetration 1550. Dual Guardian 3000. Absolute critical hit damage, 780%. For more than half a month, Yang Tian obviously gathered all 5 origins of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. The above attributes are just his basic attributes. If he enters the 5 elements world, the 5 attributes will double. Of course, he is already level 80, got 3 constellation titles, a set of 5 elements suits, he has already got what he wants, so there is no need to go to the 5 elements world. In the 5 elements world, those who have the origin will get the increase of 5 attributes. Of course, the origin has another use, that is, the set effect of the 11-piece set of the 5 elements suit, additional skill, 5 elements shield. Yang Tian has 5 origins, and the 5 elements shield he opened is immune to damage for 5 seconds. Yang Tian currently has a 10-piece set of the 5 elements suit, only the ring, still with Amos's ring, hero fragment. This equipment is integrated with magic energy conversion ring, which is his core equipment, and it is impossible to replace it. Of course, this does not prevent him from opening the 5 elements shield, because he can change his clothes at any time. At this time, Yang Tian glanced at his weapon. 5 elements magic book, Imperial weapon. Level 80. Basic magic attack add 15,000. Intelligence add 4,000. Spirit add 4,000. Chanting speed add 200%. Yang Tian intends to start strengthening. In Taixu, only weapons and equipment can be strengthened, and jewelry cannot be strengthened. Strengthen weapons to increase basic attack power. Strengthen equipment to increase basic defense. Yang Tian only intends to strengthen weapons. Change clothes Legend of the King. Lucky Edition. System, you try to strengthen 5 elements magic book, the success rate is 100%, the initial 90% success rate, lucky edition increases tenfold. Do you want to strengthen? Strengthen. System, strengthening is successful, congratulations on obtaining add 1 5 elements magic book. System, strengthening is successful, congratulations on obtaining add 2 5 elements magic book. System, strengthening success. System, strengthening success, congratulations on obtaining add 9 5 elements magic book. System, you tried to strengthen add 9 5 elements magic book, the success rate is 10%, initial 1% success rate, luck plus body multiplied tenfold. Do you want to strengthen? No. After Yang Tian denied, he put in a lucky edition strengthening crystal, which made the initial success rate add 10%. System, you tried to strengthen add 9 5 elements magic book, the success rate is 100%, initial 11% success rate, luck plus body multiplied tenfold. Do you want to strengthen? System, strengthening success, congratulations on obtaining add 10 5 elements magic book. System, strengthening success. System, strengthening success, congratulations on obtaining add 25 elements magic book. Add 25 elements magic book, royal weapon. Level 80. Basic magic attack add 15,000. Enhanced basic magic attack add 30,000. Intelligence add 4,000. Spirit add 4,000. Chanting speed add 200%. After Yang Tian enhanced the weapon to level 20, he stopped. He still had the lucky edition enhanced crystal in his hand. This kind of thing can be found in the 5 elements world when fighting against the constellation guardian. Although it is very rare, it exists permanently in the 5 elements world, and the constellation guardian exists permanently. There will always be players of level 60 to 80 to brush it. In other words, the lucky edition enhanced crystal also exists permanently, and you can buy it as long as you have money. However, the 5 elements magic book is only a level 80 royal weapon after all, and it can only be said to be an intermediate weapon. If it is a level 200 artifact, Yang Tian will definitely enhance it infinitely. Basic magic attack is 310,000, not bad. Yang Tian smiled slightly. You must know that even Huang Mao has a set of 11 pieces of 5 elements, but only 80,000 basic physical attack. The gap between the two sides is quite large. Except for Yang Tian Huang Mao, everyone else has at least a 9-piece set. 11-piece sets only have one more 5-element shield than 9-piece sets. Lan Yu Huo Wu and others do not have the origin, so naturally they do not need an 11-piece set. 2 parts are free, and other powerful parts can be worn. It is worth mentioning that after Xianyu and Longer and Alice reached level 80, they automatically became king-level intelligent life. Of course, with Xiao Jin in front, it is not so amazing for them to reach the king level. Long Lu, your double guard has reached 9,100 points. Yang Tian swept everyone one by one with the eye of truth, and when he looked at Long Lu, he was suddenly surprised. You know, even Xiao Jin, a level 80 emperor level intelligent life, with a set of 11 pieces of 5 elements, only has 6,000 points of double guard. Well, I have used all my skill points and added protection. Long Lu smiled. That's good, Yang Tian suddenly realized. Except for Xiao Jin, Xianyu and Long and Alice, we are the top 11 in the Chinese war zone ranking list. And we are the only ones at level 80. Even God's left hand is only level 79, Huang Mao smiled. He felt extremely honored that he could suppress God's left hand continuously. The stronger the person, the more he knows how terrible God's left hand is. That ID represents the strongest in the Chinese war zone. Suppressing the strongest person, that feeling, it's great to think about it. Like a snowball, our advantage will continue to expand, because the first kill of the level 80 dungeon is ours again. Yang Tian smiled. Speaking of which, because the weakest monsters at level 80 are all elites, there are no ordinary or difficult levels in the level 80 dungeon. It starts directly from the expert level, and then there is Nightmare and Hell. Of course, there are still a few dungeons with hero level. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 316. It took another 2 days for Yang Tian to lead the team to clear the Chinese theater, the 4 empires, and a total of 16 level 80 dungeons of experts, nightmares, and hell first kills. Yang Tian personally obtained 64 skill points again, and with the previous savings, he directly upgraded TP Dark Sea of Fire to the maximum level of 100. From now on, as long as the Dark Sea of Fire burns, the dark resistance of all enemies within the range will be reduced by 5,500 points. The same effect applies to the Advent of Darkness, because they are not the same buff, both are effective. In other words, in front of Yang Tian in the future, no matter who the enemy is, no matter how much dark resistance the opponent has, first deduct 11,000, so that his damage is increased by who knows how many times. After Yang Tian reached level 80, he opened the permission to enter the Sea of Ruins. The Sea of Ruins is very large. Although it is divided into the map of the Chinese theater, there is only a vast ocean on the map, which is too abstract. No one knows what is inside the Sea of Ruins, because there is not even an island marked on the map. Is there really no island in the Sea of Relics? Of course there is, but no one has opened up the land there, and it seems too mysterious, so it is called the Sea of Relics. However, in Yang Tian's view, the Sea of Relics is actually a branch of the World Sea, a branch of the World Ocean. Most of the Taixu world is covered by the sea, and the proportion of the continental area is actually very small, and it is divided into countless pieces by the ocean. The major war zones occupy a place in every corner of the continent, and the Chinese war zone is just one of them. People start from their own war zones and move along the branch sea, and they will naturally be introduced into the vast and boundless world ocean. The world ocean is actually the main battlefield of the future world war. Of course, the world ocean is extremely vast, and it is many times larger than the total area of all war zones combined. Just talking about the branch sea that connects the war zone to the world ocean, it is unknown how long it will take to completely conquer it. Now the world war has not yet broken out. When the player arrives at the world ocean, the world war will break out. As long as they have the ability, they can even cross the world ocean and go to other war zones to slaughter. For example, Chinese players can defeat Japanese players by crossing the world ocean to the Japanese theater, and vice versa. The same is true for other theaters. Obviously, the current goal of players in various theaters is to conquer the branch sea first. The branch sea that players in the Chinese theater want to conquer is the Sea of Relics. Why conquer the branch sea? Aren't the resources of the major empires in the theater enough? Of course not. You must know that the world branch sea has the word world in it, and the grade and style are completely different, so the resources are naturally much richer. In the world branch sea, the names of monsters and NPC natives in the world ocean all have the prefix world, which has been strengthened to a higher level. The Sea of Relics, and even the branch seas of other major theaters, are all opened at level 80. The weakest monsters at level 80 are all elite monsters, and world elite monsters or world elite NPCs are comparable to leaders of the same level. High experience and high explosion rate. The Sea of Relics is the main battlefield of the Chinese theater. The strong men of the major empires will surely conquer it crazily and gain huge benefits. China War Zone, Xinwu Empire, Port Yangtian and others were able to come here because they were level 80. In front of them was the beautiful blue sea, the Sea of Ruins. Yangtian took out a battleship model and threw it on the sea. With a bang, it became a real battleship. Yangtian was an architect. He had prepared many of these battleships in advance. Crossing the sea naturally requires a ship, and this Sea of Ruins is not an ordinary ocean. It is full of endless dangers, so ordinary ships cannot be used. Haha, it's good to be ahead in level. We are the first batch of pioneers in the Sea of Ruins. Yangtian laughed. At the same time, he also signaled everyone to get on the boat. There is no map of the Sea of Ruins. It is too difficult to open up the vast sea. Huangmao sighed. Yangtian laughed secretly when he heard this. He was a reborn person. What if there is no map? There will naturally be a route forward in his mind. And haha, have you forgotten? I still have this thing. Yangtian smiled and took out a palm-sized electronic instrument, which looked a bit like an electronic radar. That was the soul locking instrument. Of course it was a defective product, so it could only lock the residual soul of Dr. Edith. Edith had 4 residual souls in total, and Yangtian already had 1. Using this radar, he would find the remaining 3 residual souls sooner or later, and then find a way to resurrect Dr. Edith. At that time, Dr. Edith would be able to create a real soul-locking instrument that could locate the coordinates of all the dead heroes' souls. This is the soul-locking instrument made by Dr. Edith. Huangmao was stunned for a moment, and then he was happy. Yangtian nodded and said, "Yes, I used this thing last time and located one of Edith's residual souls in the Sea of Ruins." As he said that, Yangtian pressed the button again. I saw a flashing red dot on the small screen of the radar. Yangtian was at a white dot, which was quite far away from the red dot. "Lock the route, and set off," Yangtian said. Immediately, the helmsman Xiaojin started the warship and headed straight for the red dot. Not long after the warship moved forward, the sea surface in front suddenly exploded, and a humanoid monster with a dark blue body, holding a steel fork, and extremely ugly appeared. He had gills on his face, strong limbs and fish scales all over his body. In addition, he had fins on his wrists and ankles, which made him look very good at water. World Deep Sea Warrior, World Lord. Level 90. HP, 30 million. Skills. Humans like ants, you dare to break into our sea area, you are simply seeking death. The deep sea warrior stood calmly on the sea, and his dead fish eyes gently looked at Yang Tian and others on the warship, bared his teeth, and showed a hint of sneer. Level 90 World Lord, comparable to level 90 King Beast. Tisk tisk, the first monster I just met is so high-end. Xiao Fei took a breath, and the rest of the people also showed fear in their eyes. Level 90 World Lords are already quite strong, and more importantly, this is the sea area, so they are a bit disadvantageous in fighting. Xiao Jin immediately took the helm, turned the warship, separated the waterline, and rushed towards the distance. Oh, the deep sea warrior took a step and ran wildly on the sea, leaving a huge wave behind him, and his speed was even faster than the warship. He laughed strangely, as if he was mocking and teasing. Lion's roar. Yang Tian suddenly roared, and a golden light radiated out like a ball of lightning, and the deep sea warrior was directly stunned on the spot. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 317. Bone Spear. TP Bone Spear. 609-0200. 902-3000. After Yang Tian stunned the deep sea warrior, he threw 2 bone spears at him, directly cutting his life in half, leaving less than 15 million. Snap! Yang Tian immediately snapped his fingers, causing the wound on the deep sea warrior to expand, and he suffered another 18 million damage, and his body exploded and died. A large amount of loot was crashed and floated on the sea. Yang Tian must have killed the deep sea warrior first, but there was no first kill reward, let alone broadcast. A level 90 World Lord is comparable to a level 90 King Beast, but there is no broadcast. It's just because in the Sea of Relics, only World King Beasts and above will have first kill rewards. Although the World Lord is comparable to the King Beast, it is still a Lord rank, and can only explode gold equipment and gold quality materials at most. Of course, the explosion rate of the World Lord is much higher than that of the General Lord. After cleaning up the battlefield, the warship continued to move forward. After an unknown amount of time, a small black dot appeared in the distance. As the warship continued to move forward, the black dot continued to expand, and finally turned into an island in front of everyone. From a distance, the island was hemispherical, like a pot cover. On the pot cover, there was a green area, indicating that the vegetation on the island was very lush. At this time, on the Soul Exploration Instrument, Yang Tian's coordinates were infinitely close to the red dot, which meant that Dr. Edith's second residual soul was on the isolated island. The warship sailed towards the island, and Yang Tian transformed into the vampire count and arrived at the island's shore first. System, you discovered Island of Ruins, 1, and gained 26,000 experience points. System, congratulations. This map is a hidden map. As the first discoverer, you will be awarded 1 skill point. As the system prompt sounded in his ears, Yang Tian smiled slightly and took another skill point. At this time, everyone also went ashore one after another, and they suddenly found that the island appeared on the world map. In other words, in the future, other people can go to this island according to the map coordinates. You should know that before Yang Tian and his team opened up the island, this island was a hidden map and would not be displayed on the system map. In other words, Yang Tian and his team have also made contributions to the vast number of players in the Chinese theater. Of course, as a pioneer, Yang Tian received 1 skill point. Not only that, as a new map, Isle of Ruins, 1, naturally has many treasures waiting for others to explore. As pioneers, Yang Tian and his team can get them as long as they have the strength. Yang Tian held the soul detection instrument, which is a small electronic radar. He located the second residual soul of Dr. Edith, which is the constantly flashing red dot. There are many monsters on the island. They have dragon heads, insect bodies, 4 claws, and are earthy yellow in color. Most of their bodies are sunken in the soil, and they can crawl and shuttle freely in the soil. They are about 2 yards tall and about 10 feet long. This kind of rare monster is called earth dragon. Earth dragons are naturally not dragon beasts. Real dragon beasts do not have insect bodies. Earth dragon, world elite. Level 80. HP, 2.5 million. Skills, Earth Escape, Passive, Dragon Fang, Impact. A level 80 world elite is comparable to a level 80 ordinary leader, or even slightly stronger. However, on this world map, the Earth Dragon is just the most useless monster, a mere monster, but it has a terrifying HP of 2.5 million, which makes ordinary players feel numb when they see it. Caca. For the Earth Dragon, the land is like a river, accompanied by some noises. Groups of Earth Dragons discovered the invaders, shuttled through the soil, and rushed towards Yang Tian and others fiercely. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but take a step back. In fact, for their output, 3.5 million HP is not a lot. Most people present can kill an Earth Dragon in seconds with any skill. But output is output. Their HP and defense are still far inferior to monsters, and they are still very fragile in comparison. Just like Yang Tian, even with a set of 5 elements suit, he only has 120,000 HP except for Xiaojin, Xianyuan Long and Alice. The rest of the people are not much different. Most people can kill the Earth Dragon in one move, but at the same time, most people are easily killed by the Earth Dragon in one move. Of course, Yang Tian has a bone shield, which adds more than 15 million HP. He is an exception. At this moment, he put on a bone shield, and he is not afraid of the Earth Dragon at all. Dark Sea of Fire. Seeing that the group of Earth Dragons has surrounded everyone, Yang Tian immediately snapped his fingers and ignited a sea of fire on the spot, covering hundreds of yards. At this time, TP Dark Sea of Fire is automatically triggered, weakening the dark resistance of all Earth Dragons in the Sea of Fire by 5,500 points, making their dark resistance all negative, making the power of Yang Tian's dark attribute Dark Sea of Fire once again much higher. 260-0060 260-0060 260-0060. The screen was full of bright red critical damage, causing all the Earth Dragons within the Sea of Fire to turn into black charcoal and disappear. Suddenly, everyone gained a lot of experience. The experience on the world map was absolutely rich. It was a treasure land for upgrading. The Earth Dragon group exploded a large amount of equipment, materials, and copper coins, covering a large area on the ground. The world map has high experience and high explosion rate, which has initially appeared at this moment. Even if you guard an island, you can make a small fortune. Yang Tian's pet Xiao Lei Ben Li Leopard, Huang Mao's pet Xiao Bai Bright Lion King, and even other people's pets, have begun to help their owners pick up items. Since the last revision, there is an additional pet skill book, which is specifically used for pet learning. The most popular one is automatic pickup. Pets who learn this skill can help their owners pick up items, which is very convenient. After cleaning up the spoils, Yang Tian held the small radar and led the team to continue heading towards the red dot. Naturally, they encountered many Earth Dragons along the way. The Sea of Fire, or the Dark Sea of Fire, lasts for 60 seconds and cools down for 60 seconds. If it is a fixed point brush, it is equivalent to no CD. But Yang Tian and others are on the road, and the Sea of Fire cannot move. Yang Tian let the Sea of Fire go before, and now he is still waiting, so Yang Tian can only summon the undead to open the way. It is worth mentioning that after Yang Tian reached level 80, all the summoned undead became elite monsters or above. Summon skeleton warriors. With a wave of his hand, Yang Tian summoned more than 600 skeleton warriors. The elite skeleton warriors were wearing armor and looked much stronger than before. Skeleton warrior, elite. Level 80. HP, 1 million. Basic physical attack, 30,000. Dark attribute attack. Dark strength 600 plus, 4,400. Armor break 800 plus, 1,550. Critical hit rate 10% plus, 100%, critical damage 100% plus, 780%. Skills, heavy attack, slash, shield attack, charge, stab, war cry, sneak attack. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 318. Although there is only one level between elite monsters and high-level monsters, the gap is obvious. After the skeleton warrior becomes a level 80 elite monster, its health alone is as high as 1 million, so it will not be easily killed. It is not until now that the Necromancer has begun to rise. There are many undead and they are not easy to kill. This is simply invincible, and it will become stronger as time goes by. Open the way. Yang Tian waved his hand, and more than 600 skeleton warriors rushed forward and quickly killed the surrounding earth dragons with a crushing momentum. The skeleton warrior is already a level 80 elite, and its attributes are already very high. With the blessing of Yang Tian's dark power, armor penetration, and critical strike, it becomes very fierce. Any skill can easily kill the earth dragon. And the skeleton warrior has an advantage in number, so it is naturally very simple to kill the earth dragon. Not long after, Yang Tian and others followed the red dot on the small radar and came to a cave. No, it can no longer be considered a cave, but a cave house. The cave entrance is 100 yards long and half 100 yards wide on both sides. It is really too huge. Looking forward along the cave entrance, it is pitch black, and there is a great majesty coming from inside, as if there is some extremely powerful life living here. The earth dragon is already a relatively large monster, but compared to this huge cave, it is still very small. Obviously, the life living in this cave is not an earth dragon, or it is not an ordinary earth dragon. In here. At this time, the red dot on the small radar in Yang Tian's hand is still flashing, pointing to the cave entrance in front. Huang Mao took a look and couldn't help asking. Everyone was stunned. Dr. Edith is just a human. How can he live in such a big cave? Well, Yang Tian nodded, one of Dr. Edith's ghosts is in here, but there should be another powerful life in here. Ka. As Yang Tian was talking, a row of earth dragons suddenly emerged from the soil at the entrance of the cave, and shouted at Yang Tian and others fiercely. Obviously, they intended to guard the cave and prevent Yang Tian and others from entering. However, they were just a chariot. Yang Tian waved his hand casually, and the skeleton warriors around him rushed forward, picked up the short sword and chopped fiercely, instantly killing the group of earth dragons, and some things burst out. Automatic pickup. The pets walked up and quickly cleaned up the spoils. Pop. Yang Tian lit a cigarette, lit a torch, waved his hand, and led everyone into the cave, which was getting brighter and brighter. The cave entrance was dark, but the cave was very bright. The stone walls around were inlaid with glittering gems, which were the light shining from them. Not long after, Yang Tian found a huge monster, a real dragon beast, with a blue-black body. It was obviously sleeping, but its momentum was intimidating. Because it was lying on the ground at the moment, it was hard to see how big it was, but the length of the dragon head alone was nearly 3 meters, which was suffocating. Earth Dragon, World Royal Beast. Level 90. HP, 120 million. Introduction, Overlord of the Island. You can't deal with this dragon, retreat. The moment he found the Earth Dragon, Yang Tian's eyes condensed and he shouted immediately. You know, even in the world map, the World Royal Beast is a boss-level existence. Monsters with world titles are one level higher than ordinary monsters. And above the Royal Beasts are the Spirit Beasts. Of course, there is a huge gap between the Royal Beasts and the Spirit Beasts. The world royal beasts are not as good as the spirit beasts. It can only be said that they are much stronger than ordinary royal beasts. Hearing this, Huang Mao and others hurriedly retreated, leaving only Yang Tian and a group of skeleton warriors to block the earth dragon. As Yang Tian shouted, the earth dragon woke up from its deep sleep, and it suddenly opened its dragon eyes. The dragon's might descended, making the skeleton warriors tremble, and their attributes also decreased a lot. Hit. Yang Tian's mind moved, and a group of skeleton warriors suddenly forgot their fear and picked up their short swords to attack the huge dragon head. Heavy hit. Heavy hit. Heavy hit. 3,590. 4,290. 3,809. As the skeleton warriors focused their fire, a large area of damage appeared on the top of the earth dragon, but it was only 3 or 4,000. Compared with the terrifying 120 million health of the earth dragon, this little damage is just a drizzle. But Yang Tian was not disappointed at all. Just kidding, it is already a glorious thing for the elite to break the defense of the world emperor beast, okay. Darkness is coming. Yang Tian immediately snapped his fingers, making the surrounding environment instantly dark, and at the same time weakened the earth dragon's total dark resistance of 5,500 points. Then Yang Tian glanced at the current dark resistance of the earth dragon and found that it was still about 10,000. The earth dragon is indeed worthy of being the world emperor beast, and even more so a dragon beast. It is indeed extraordinary. Ping ping pong pong. The skeleton warriors were still attacking fiercely, and then they smashed randomly. As the dark resistance of the earth dragon decreased, their damage finally increased a little, barely breaking 10,000. Because of the large number of skeleton warriors, just like that, the earth dragon quickly reduced its life by about 7 million. And the earth dragon roared in pain, and the dragon roar triggered a powerful shockwave, knocking all the skeleton warriors around it away. 500,000. 500,000. 500,000. The earth dragon's roar alone was lethal. A group of skeleton warriors were knocked to the ground, and their health dropped by half instantly. Fortunately, the skeleton warriors were already level 80 elites with millions of lives, so they were not killed by the earth dragon's roar. Dragon breath. After the roar, the earth dragon stood up and raised its head. Suddenly, a powerful energy wave surged from its open dragon mouth. Immediately, it ejected the energy, like an earth-colored laser, completely swallowing Yang Tian. However, after the light dissipated, Yang Tian did not die in the battle. He did not even drop a drop of blood, but the thick bone shield on his body was shattered and horrible. He has a LV-50 bone shield, which provides a total of 15.5 million lives and some dark resistance. The earth dragon is indeed very strong, with strong vitality, attack power, and defense. But it has no attribute attack and no attribute damage, so its combat power is limited. Because of this, Yang Tian was able to withstand its attack without dying. Seeing that Yang Tian was still standing, the earth dragon seemed to find it hard to accept, and then its eyes turned red, which meant that all its hatred was focused on Yang Tian at the moment. Yang Tian was not panicked, and immediately changed his clothes and activated the 5 elements shield. He already possessed the 5 original powers of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. His 5 elements shield was naturally the ultimate version of the 5 elements shield, immune to all damage within 5 seconds. If controlled, the 5 elements shield will be temporarily invalid during the control period. As long as he is not controlled, he is invincible within these 5 seconds. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 319. 5 balls of colorful light swirled around Yang Tian, which were the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. They kept spinning and instantly covered Yang Tian with a translucent spherical shield. This shield had the effect of being immune to all damage. The earth dragon had red eyes and attacked Yang Tian frantically. Each attack caused a powerful earthquake effect, instantly killing the surrounding skeleton warriors, but Yang Tian was fine. Dark Sea of Fire. Yang Tian raised his hand casually, and the fierce sea of fire began to burn. On the basis of the darkness, the two skills weakened the dark resistance of the earth dragon by 11,000 points. At this time, the dark resistance of the earth dragon finally fell below the 5,000 mark. Lion's Roar. The phantom of the golden lion appeared, and after a roar, it stunned the earth dragon perfectly. Although the damage was not high, Yang Tian wanted to stun it. Next, Yang Tian took advantage of the dizziness of the earth dragon and used the extreme summon, consuming most of his mana to summon more than 1,000 undead minions at once, surrounded the earth dragon, and exploded directly. More than 1,000 times the output, and it was done while weakening the opponent's dark resistance by 11,000 points. 48001428. After the terrifying explosion, huge red damage appeared, taking away more than 1/3 of the earth dragon's blood at once. The damage deepened. Yang Tian immediately snapped his fingers again, causing the damage on the earth dragon to explode, and it was more than twice the fixed damage. The earth dragon's blood tank was instantly reduced, and it was killed directly, exploding a mountain of massive loot. Relic C broadcast. Congratulations to player Han Shui for taking the first kill of the earth dragon, and gaining an additional 3 skill points and. The Relic Sea is a branch sea of the Chinese theater. Of course, at present, except for Yang Tian and others, no one else has come to the sea area, and no one else can hear it even if the broadcast sounds. The earth dragon is a level 90 world beast, so the first kill rate is naturally extraordinary. Just talking about the level 80-90 royal weapons, several pieces have been dropped, but Yang Tian is no longer interested. He is now level 80, and has a set of level 80 royal weapon suits, 5 elements suits. The equipment is already very good. Even if the game is updated very quickly now, he believes that he will not have to consider changing equipment for a long time. Yang Tian, you are too strong now. You have control, invincibility, and burst. You can kill anyone at the same level in seconds. Huang Mao said with emotion. Hearing this, everyone nodded secretly. With Yang Tian in the front to output, they only need to shout 666 in the back to mix experience. What's the difference between this and salted fish? Yang Tian smiled and stomped out the cigarette on the ground. Just kidding. He was reborn with 5 years of game experience. If he can't reach this level, it would be too much of a failure, right? Of course, he couldn't say this clearly, so he started to clean up the spoils that the earth dragon exploded. Soon, he found a black ball the size of a baseball in it. Dr. Edith's Soul Ball, consumable after using it, you will get Dr. Edith's Hero Soul *1. Oh, you don't have to fight. Yang Tian smiled and crushed the soul ball casually. System, congratulations on getting Dr. Edith's Hero Soul *1. As the system prompt sounded in his ears, Yang Tian called out the pet column and found that Dr. Edith's dead soul showed 2/4. Edith had 1 soul and 3 spirits, which means that he was a spirit collector above 120 when he was alive. He might have only been level 120, or he might have been level 200, but he was just a spirit collector and had not reached the level of Immortal King. Now Yang Tian has collected 2 of his spirits, and he still needs 1 soul and 1 spirit. After collecting them, plus his body and the Fountain of Life, he can revive him. After the hero is resurrected, the hero will automatically pledge allegiance and become a servant. For Yang Tian, the combat power of a soul collector is secondary. The most important thing is that after resurrecting Dr. Edith, he can make a complete version of the soul detection instrument. In this way, Yang Tian can use it to find various heroic souls. Even if he can't use it, he can use it to feed Xiao Jin. You know, Xiao Jin has the ability to evolve by devouring souls, and there is no upper limit. Maybe Yang Tian can cultivate Xiao Jin into a god. Yang Tian and everyone else left the Earth Dragon Cave mansion, and then took out a small radar to search for Dr. Edith's third soul. Buzz buzz buzz. The pointer on the small radar began to rotate, but the red dot never appeared. System, search failed. Well, is Dr. Edith's third soul not within the scope of the Chinese war zone? Yang Tian was stunned. The Sea of Ruins is a branch sea of China, and to some extent it is also a map of the Chinese war zone, but the small radar can't find it, which is strange. Is Dr. Edith's third soul in the world ocean? This seems unlikely. Dr. Edith is a hero of an empire in the Chinese theater. His spirit should probably be in the Chinese theater. Oh, and there is the city of Sin. Yang Tian smiled. He has always been a red name, so he can go directly to the city of Sin. After making up his mind, Yang Tian went directly to the city of Sin. He did not bring Xiao Jin with him. Now that he is very powerful, he does not need Xiao Jin's fighting power. With Xiao Jin here to fight monsters, Huang Mao and others can brush the Earth Dragon here to upgrade and make the snowball bigger. System, you have discovered the city of Sin. 9. As the system prompt sounded in his ears, Yang Tian appeared in a dark and dilapidated ancient city. After defeating the Earth Dragon, he successfully reached level 81 and entered the city of Sin. 9, which was full of monsters of level 81 to 90. Woo! The streets of the ancient city were full of dark red canine monsters. They were 1 point larger than adult lions, with exposed fangs, and they roared at Yang Tian, looking very ferocious. Hellhound, elite monster. Level 85. HP, 1.7 million. Skills, Savage Charge, Fangs, Bloodthirstiness. Background introduction, a fierce dog from hell, extremely ferocious. Hellhounds are elite monsters, 1 point stronger than ordinary elite monsters, and they exist in groups. If ordinary red-named players of level 81 to 90 come here, they may be in trouble, but Yang Tian doesn't care. Bone Shield. Seeing a group of hellhounds rushing towards him, Yang Tian immediately put on a bone shield, and then the hellhounds crashed into him, but no damage was done, naturally all absorbed by the bone shield. You know, his bone shield has more than 15 million health points. Even if it is attacked by a group of hellhounds, it is not that damaged. Summon skeleton warriors. Yang Tian casually snapped his fingers and summoned a team of more than 600 skeleton warriors. The skeleton warriors waved their short swords and easily knocked down the hellhounds one by one. Although the skeleton warriors are only elite monsters, with the blessing of Yang Tian's attributes, it is no problem to chop down the hellhounds. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 320. Coupled with the numerical advantage, within a short time, Yang Tian's skeleton warriors annihilated all the surrounding hellhounds. Looking at the loot that fell all over the floor, Yang Tian immediately summoned the Thunder Leopard to clean it up. As items were put into his account, he found a skill book called Summon Cerberus and learned it easily. In fact, the explosion rate of this kind of rare skill book is not high, but I am afraid that he is the first one to brush the Cerberus. It is a land reclamation, so it is normal for the explosion rate to be high. Yang Tian didn't forget about business even after he arrived. He quickly took out a small radar to search for Addis's third deceased soul. As the red dot on the small screen flashed, he couldn't help but discover that Addis's third deceased soul was in Sin City level 10. Open circuit. Yang Tian waved his hand and led a group of skeleton warriors towards the prison. All the Cerberus encountered along the way were hacked to death by the skeleton warriors with random knives and crushed forward, until a flash of red light flashed and a majestic Cerberus sprang up and roared. Yang K stopped slightly. That guy was 3 times the size of an ordinary hellhound, and more importantly, it had 3 heads. It looked full of violence all day long. 3-headed dog of hell, Lord. Level 90. HP, 9 million. Skills, Fire Tongue, Bite, Slam. The 3-headed dog is like a king, standing in the middle of a group of hellhounds, with its 3 heads roaring together, looking majestic and domineering. Suddenly, the head in the middle of the 3-headed dog shot a tongue of fire directly towards Yang Tian. Yang Tian smiled slightly and relied on the bone shield on his body to withstand the blow. Naturally, he was unscathed, but the bone shield was slightly damaged. Such a scene is undoubtedly very terrifying. You must know that even after the Necromancer is formed, the weakness of the Necromancer itself cannot be changed. Even if you have countless powerful undead, you still cannot change the fragile fate. The enemy suddenly breaks out from the army. If I go in and kill you instantly, everything will be in vain. And Yang Tian has such a powerful bone shield that he can completely overcome this fatal drawback. Ho ho ho. Seeing that Yang Tian was under attack, a group of skeleton warriors rushed towards the 3-headed hell dog without any orders. The 3-headed hell dog was too tall, and the skeleton warriors could only reach the former's feet, but they were fearless and hacked away at random. Blow. Blow. 245-0020. 246-9200. 245-3500. A series of bright red injuries appeared, and the 3-headed hell dog's blood tank was instantly empty. It whined and fell to the ground dead. It is so easy for elites to defeat lords. Of course, the main reason is that Yang Tian's attributes are too strong, which gives powerful blessings to the undead under his command. I wonder if there is a skill book. The 3-headed hell dog also exploded a bunch of items. Yang Tian walked over and cleaned them up, but found no so-called skill books. This hell 3-headed dog is also a summon of the Necromancer, at the Lord level, and has the same strength as the Black Knight, Nether Assassin, and Vampire Count. But since it didn't come out, there was no point in Yang Tian thinking about it, he could only wait for the next opportunity. System, you discovered the 9th floor of the prison. As the system prompt sounded in his ears, Yang Tian came to the prison again. Speaking of which, he has been to the prison many times, and he was not arrested but forced his way in. When he came in this time, he naturally wanted to enter the city of sin through the big prison. 10. What kind of villain dares to break into a big prison? Die. When Yang Tian broke into the prison, he was immediately discovered by a group of patrolling prison guards. They roared violently, drew their machetes and rushed towards Yang Tian. Haha, the mantis arms are like a chariot. Yang Tian smiled faintly and transformed into the netherworld assassin. He ran quickly, and the dagger in his hand easily cut the throats of all the prison guards. In the rush of blood, he easily harvested the lives of the enemy soldiers like the god of death. While harvesting, he ran towards the entrance of the corridor leading to Sin City. 10. When the blood stained the dagger red, he successfully arrived at Sin City. 10. He discovered that the monsters on this level were also Cerberus, and of course their levels were higher than those on the previous level, ranging from level 91 to 100. Of course, even if the level becomes higher, Cerberus is still Cerberus, just an elite monster, and he doesn't even look at it. After taking out the small radar to locate the third soul of Dr. Addis, he slaughtered all the way towards the destination. Not long after, he finally found an old translucent shadow in a dilapidated house. Obviously, the souls of heroes are immune to physical attacks. Dr. Edith's heroic soul, hero. Grade. HP. Skill. Introduction. Dr. Edith was a legendary scientist in the Shinwu Empire before he was promoted. Later, he died and was hailed as a hero. The strength of the soul is obviously different. Generally, the soul is stronger, but even the soul has different strengths. It was the third time that Yang Tian saw Dr. Addis's heroic soul, and his heroic soul was much stronger than the previous two. Even though Yang Tian has the Eye of Truth, he cannot distinguish its specific attributes. Of course, since he is in Sin City, 10, his level is only level 100 at most, and Yang Tian thinks he can still challenge a level 100 hero. Young man, why do you have a familiar aura, and the soul exploration instrument in your hand, could it be? The translucent old shadow stared at the small radar in Yang Tian's hand, and there seemed to be some enlightenment in his eyes. Yes, after your death, you were divided into one soul and 3 spirits, and 2 of the hero spirits have been collected by me, Yang Tian replied. I see. Young man, although I really hope you can help me revive, due to my current individual survival instinct, you must defeat me completely, Edith said lightly. As a residual soul, his consciousness is relatively vague, and sometimes he can't control it and acts on instinct. I understand. Yang Tian smiled, and hit Darkness Coming and Dark Sea of Fire in succession, weakening its dark resistance by 11,000 points. Dr. Edith took out a laser gun and fired a shot, and suddenly the white laser rushed towards Yang Tian. The leader of Dr. Edith has a health bar and a mana bar. At this time, his mana bar suddenly dropped by 1/10, and the power of the laser gun is exactly the same as the real damage of this 1/10. Yang Tian's eyes narrowed. The power of the laser gun depends on the mana of the operator. Yang Tian currently has 1.8 million mana. He uses a laser gun and can kill 180,000 real damage with one shot. It can be said that he is second to none among the current players, but it is definitely not comparable to Dr. Edith's hero spirit. Yang Tian estimated that he could only withstand 1 or 2 shots at most, including the bone shield. With this thought, he immediately used the flash and teleported to a position 3 yards away, thus avoiding the laser. After the flash, he did not stop, but moved frantically, tricking Dr. Edith for several shots in a row, causing Dr. Edith's mana to continue to decrease.